Yeah, I can't hear myself
You
anymore.
can say no. It's not like
No,
a
no, I'm just, I'm like talking right now, and I don't hear myself anymore. So whatever you did
okay.
is good.
Fair
Um,
enough.
but yeah. Actually today I was talking about because I've been working on triceps.
Ooh,
I'm doing triceps and uh thighs right now.
and ions?
Thighs,
How do you
thighs,
work on your eyes? Thighs.
thighs.
I think you said eyes. I was like,
Yeah.
how does one work out their eyes?
So basically, you just watch a lot of porn, and
Oh, that's
so
strenuous.
like you don't basically like it's like exercise for the eyes because then like you can put it all into practice. You know what I mean?
Oh, so you work out your eyes so you can watch porn,
Yeah.
well, without like blinking, just so you don't
Without
miss
blinking.
anything.
Yeah, yeah, basically, yeah. It's just like it's basically like how long can I hold my eyes open? You know, because like the longer
Like,
I open my eyes, the more porn I can watch. You know what I mean?
yeah, the more you can consume. No,
Yeah, yeah,
it makes perfect. It makes perfect sense to me. That actually, yeah,
yeah,
that sounds good. It's a good skill to have, I think.
yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. But
Do you wait? Honestly, though, when you stare at the screen for too long, like I, I've had some brain rot moments where I'm like, my eye, like I look up and my eye, it's just blurry. Like I can't. Everything's a little
I
out of
think
focus.
I think this is because you see I'm like years of I've gained my whole life. Like I've
Oh
stared at a
yeah.
screen my entire life.
You know
Like
what? That's a good
I think
point.
that's what it is. Actually, when I started playing VR, I would like
Oh,
when you get out of
yeah.
VR, you're like, whoa, what the heck? You know, like
Oh shit. What? Which I'm
but
like,
now
I'm surprised. Nowadays,
I play VR and it doesn't happen anymore.
I can't tell if this is because the damage has just been so is so deep now, or if it's like a skill that you're learning. I'm not sure. I think time will tell.
I don't know, but I'm chilling right
Also,
now.
while you were playing your little games,
Mm-hmm.
I was chefing it up. I've
Yeah.
been like cooking for the last shit. I got back. I've been cooking for like 4 hours, which is
What do you mean you've been
really
cooking
rare.
for 4 hours? What?
I was making a meal for the whole building. You know, I got to feed my
Word. Yeah,
people.
yeah, yeah. No, for sure, for sure.
No, I was making like taco burrito ingredients, and which I don't like cooking things that are like a bunch of different little ingredients because it's more expensive. And it's just like fucking way more to prepare. So I was like, I had to cut up onions and tomatoes and like saute that, and I had beef, but I also put like some chicken in a crock pot. So like I had to like I couldn't meet at the normal time because I had to like shred it because it was like it had been 3 hours. So I'd been like doing that. I had a giant watermelon that I was cutting up so I could eat that for the week. I kind of missed being in the kitchen, so I was like, I'll just make more work for myself this time. But it's looking good. My apartment is smelling right tasty. I gotta tell you,
Hmm.
good taste.
That's great. I got a frozen meal from Walmart.
Okay, cool. How did that
So
go?
you know, it tastes great. You know, like I didn't have to cook it. Crazy, right?
I wanna. We gotta do more cooking, like mutual cooking things. I feel like there are things I don't cook for myself because one, I'm like, why would I cook that just for me?
We're gonna
And
have our own Jalen and Imani do.
oh my god,
You know what I mean? We're gonna have our own
just everything they've ever done, but we're doing it, so it's better.
Jalen and Imani cook.
Honestly, have you? Because I don't trust you in the kitchen. Like I know you know how to cook like salmon, but I don't fuck with salmon, so I don't even trust
How
that.
dare you?
Even with- I don't know.
I've been
Hey,
cooking
you see me in
eggs.
Walmart frozen meals. I don't know. I'm just
Well,
saying.
that's just because we broke out here, dog. The
That's
podcast
right. I
money
can't
ain't
even
coming
say
in
shit.
yet.
Oh shit, working hard today. I know you're working hard this weekend,
It's just
dude. I'm kind of wait. Also, are we recording? Because I'm just yapping.
yeah, yeah, yeah. We're recording.
Okay, I was
Um,
like, just like 30 minutes of talking. It's like, oh, we're not going.
to answer your
But
question though, the game I
yeah,
was playing was
yeah.
The Last of Us Part Two.
The Last is part two.
Mhm.
I don't think you'd already played it.
I've
Part
already
two.
played it,
You're playing it again?
replaying it. Yeah, Imani, you know, like I want you to experience the game and everything, and I want you to watch the show or whatever, you know. Not that I think the show, I genuinely, let's talk about The
I
Last
know
of
how
Us.
you feel. I know how you
let's
feel.
let's talk about The Last of Us. I don't think the show did the game justice, and the reason for that is
Yeah.
because everything was rushed. The problem is, and I'm not saying it couldn't have been done, and I don't know why they didn't do this. Okay, if we're looking at the statistics, the game is 15 hours, and the show is only 9 episodes, and that is about 9 hours. Now,
Yes, actually, hell
even
less.
less, even less, because you have episode 3. Well, first you have the beginning episode, which doesn't even have Ellie in it, I don't think, but like a little bit. You have,
Well, isn't that like? I mean, definitely a few hours of that game is like before Ellie as well.
yeah,
I've seen some of it. I've seen some.
it is, yeah. But the thing is, okay, listen. So, no time in the first episode. The whole third episode is a completely different character, so we don't see Joel and Ellie interact at all. Then we have episode
Yeah.
5, 6, and then 7 is with Ellie and her past, and then 8 and 9. I don't remember what happened in 8 and 9, but
I know
then
not.
we rushed the ending.
Yeah, I won't even lie. Okay, and
And
as a
there's barely
perspective,
any zombies. Imani infected. They call it infected. There's
look,
barely any infected.
and
Imani,
you
do
know
you
what?
know?
And
Do
you
you
know
know?
what?
No,
I'm
no, no,
happy.
no.
And
Do
then you
you
know what? I'm
know?
fucking glad because those motherfuckers are creepy as
Okay,
shit. I
but
don't need
did
that.
you know?
I don't want to watch that creepy
Imani,
shit.
did you, this is a zombie show,
Bro,
and
bro, that one
the
episode
reviews,
with
the
the
reviews.
kid that's deaf, that last scene where they all crawled out, that was enough. I was like, we can stop here. I don't need to see another fucking zombie infected until the end. I don't give a
No,
fuck. I don't want to see that shit.
no, because listen,
It's too much.
there were reviews that said that they thought the zombies were like gone or something, Imani. Like there weren't enough zombies in this show that the people who watched it did like forgot half the time that this was a zombie apocalypse.
Okay. Okay, that's fair. I think that's very fair. I say that because I'm like, okay, it freaks me the fuck out. They're scary, you know. I don't want to look at that. But you're right because I think I as a watch I think I like literally remember it was whatever it was the episode with like the cult leader dude. Where spoiler if you haven't watched the show or like played the games where he was
Yeah.
eating the people and like that whole scene I remember like them chilling and all that stuff and I remember so viscerally thinking like God, I haven't seen like like this is actually nice. I haven't seen an infected in so long. This just feels like a slice of life traveling cross country. This is this is great. And even the end, like, because I can see them not putting them in every episode to build suspense in some way. But again, like you said, the end was definitely rushed. Even having never watched the game, I could tell the end was rushed. It was so obvious. But and they didn't really build like I don't know maybe I think maybe they're not incorporating the world as well like in the creatures that have caused the world to be what it is they might not I don't think they're incorporating it as well as they could be into like the main plot and the characters I get that.
And Imani, I want you to know, in the
Oh my god.
game, you fight infected around every corner. Honestly, you fight more infected than humans, which makes sense because this is a zombie apocalypse. Imani, this suit, the bloater suit, do you want to see it or do you know what I'm talking about? The bloater suit, it was like the big fat zombie.
Oh yeah.
All right, I'm just going to traumatize you. It was this one.
Oh, what the fuck? Why does it look like that? Oh wait, they all look like that. I don't know why I'm surprised.
Because like it's the bloater, right? So like it's like the biggest one of them. Anyways,
Yeah.
that suit,
Man, I hate those motherfuckers.
that suit cost 500,000 or like, and they showed it for like not even 15 minutes, like 5 minutes, not even 5 minutes, shorter
They
than
didn't show
that.
that much at all.
Imani, when I tell you that, like, there were YouTubers that have played the games, of course, and they were saying like, no, this and this has to happen. So maybe they're going to use the bloater suit again because there's no way you spent $500,000 on this suit just to use it for 2 minutes. Like, did the whole budget go into that suit? Is that why we don't have a lot of episodes?
They're like, we can only afford to have this
I
on
said,
for
look,
like
man,
a
it's
couple
9
minutes.
episodes and a bloater suit, or 15 episodes and no bloater. Okay, I don't know what to tell you.
Honestly, I remember that. Like, I remember that the bloater, is that what the
Yeah.
I remember that, and I was like, that's fucking freaky. But yeah, it didn't compound. There wasn't much compounding in like the infected stuff. But I feel like they did a good enough job with The Last of Us season 1 that I feel like they both will and should take more liberties in season 2. Like, I feel like they probably, at least in my head, I'm like, hey, maybe they're rushing it. People get really nervous with season 1s, especially when they're adapting shit. I'm hoping that now that they see that they have like an audience that's invested in this and wants to see it and stuff like that, they will like give it the breath that it deserves in a season 2. But
My thing is like to the
also, Jalen, you're like a professional hater on shit. I feel like I'm always like, maybe they did this, maybe they did that. You're such a professional hater.
what, and I'm just like making faces.
Yeah, I mean, no, you're just old. Like you just be a hater sometimes.
No.
And,
Okay.
and like a well articulated hater, but like a hater.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
fair. That's valid.
Okay.
It just makes
Okay.
me laugh. I
Let me
appreciate it.
say. Let me say. Okay. I think The Last of Us is one of the best live action video game adaptations we've had. I mean, there's Arcane, so it doesn't get anywhere near Arcane, but
That's true.
The Last of Us is great. Okay, but I just think it could have been better. I think that especially the interactions with Joel and Ellie, like the whole point of the series is this father daughter esque bond, which I mean, Imani, in the game, you get to see so much more. I mean, you're literally playing as Joel, and at first you have this annoying ass sidekick who can't even fucking whistle, Imani. She's like, what are you trying to do? There's this great scene, not really scene, but like you're just walking around in like the levels or whatever. And Ellie's like, and Joel's just like, what are you doing? She's like, I'm trying to whistle, you know? And like there's these little growths, that the show just doesn't get. And then by the end, like, or towards the middle of the game, Ellie can whistle. And like she uses that in a way that like, helps them get somewhere. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff is cool. That kind of stuff
Wow.
is cool. And it's like, wow, you missed that kind of stuff. Like you missed the whole point. And the guy that wrote The Last of Us was behind this show. How did you miss that? I don't understand. I just think that if they at least had 15 episodes, it could have been better. But because the problem is, and I'm all for a show like adding things, to give more clarity or to like make a better, like I liked the Bill and Frank episode. I thought that was great, right? Totally different from we see Bill in the game, totally different person. So this is like another reality. I'm cool with that. I like that. Considering Bill, I'm not gonna say that. Never mind. Actually, maybe it'll change. Considering Bill doesn't show up again in the second game, maybe they'll show up in the second season. But considering Bill doesn't show up in the second game at all, besides like a mention, like it doesn't matter that you change that character story. I thought that episode was great. My problem is when you add stuff and then take away what was good from the source material to make this other stuff better. It's like I would have just rather you follow the game and just do that than take
Do the
away.
thing that was already good.
Yeah, I would rather you just do the thing that was already good than take away something that is kind of sort of good and then rush everything else.
I think that's fair. Like you said, there's a difference between like they did. I think the one-off episodes they did was some of the better episodes. I guess when we're talking about the comparison game, because like they're taking liberties with stuff that isn't gonna like be like stuff that isn't gonna be like really fundamentally change how they're able to tell the story, you know? But yeah, if they're doing stuff where it's like you took this away and it could have been like whatever. I will say for one, because like I don't think I fully because like I'm not much of a gamer really. I say I'm not a gamer
You
at
will be.
fucking all.
You will be.
They got me to play Uno. That and I it's the fact that like I'm nervous because the fact that Tara's like, oh, you want to play Uno again? And I'm like, they're gonna rope me into more shit.
You know?
I can't
Now
do
we know
this.
you're free on Friday nights, kind of, sorta. So
Damn, I'm like, I gotta start being busy. I gotta start being busy. But like, I think when it comes to like, because people have always talked so much about how amazing the storytelling is in the Last of Us game,
hmm
and I was very curious about what that looked like, and like that to me, like the whistling thing,
hmm
so fucking phenomenal. But I also think, like devil's advocate, and I get maybe not even devil's advocate, but just in terms of interpretation, I like that to me feels like something that could only ever be that powerful in a game
No,
where you're
I
putting
agree.
in 15
I
hours,
agree.
you know, where like that it's a small thing that because there are so many small things you can do within the game. You're acting and then you know the things that almost feel insignificant in the dialogue, but like to see that dialogue build up and to like have real impact, like it just shows how much care they've put into like those minute things that like I don't even know realistically like you would have to take an entire season probably between beginning like doesn't know how to whistle first episode and then knows how to whistle by the end for it to even be like remotely as impactful. And again, it sounds like there are a lot of those small things that happen and I'm like, could you really realistically do all of those, you know, in a season?
I I agree, and I think I wanted to clarify. Like I do agree with that. There's a lot of things you lose when it comes from playing the video game because you're literally playing as these characters. Like Ellie is this annoying ass little girl that keeps getting in your way and getting you killed as when you play as Joel and stuff like that. Like she keeps getting in your way and all that kind of stuff. Like so you're literally growing, like you're playing as Joel, you're growing like as you like go through the game. Like it's great, it's great. So you lose a lot of that when you're playing, when you're watching the show, where you're not really following a set character and you can jump from place to place and do whatever you want. It's hard to follow a specific character, but I still think that because of that, even more so, there should have been more interactions with Joel and Ellie. I feel
Mm.
like I feel like I don't even know because I've played the game. I don't know a like just watcher perspective. Like how do you feel about Joel? Like do you I don't even know what I'm really trying to say, but like do you feel like there was growth in their relationship? Do you feel like it was impactful? Because I only know from the game. So
Yeah.
anything that I know is pretty much only taken from the game. So I'm just like, damn, that was a cool moment. That was a cool moment too. And then I watched the show and I'm like, whatever.
You know what? I think you're right because I think it's hard to like you can't unlearn that story, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like I don't it's been long enough since I've watched it that I don't think I could like reference specific moments, but I did. Like I I fully feel the gravity of their relationship as it was developing. Like I think I just like fully definitely felt that. And I think there's probably less time in which they are sort of like, "Oh, I'm stuck with you. I'm stuck with you." And like more time of them having that like more like, you know, intimate personal relationship. But which I do think probably changes, you know, the perception of a lot of things. Like I think well, okay, I don't know. I just keep thinking about the ending because that's like probably the only part that I really
Didn't
did.
like
I really like have the huh?
didn't like? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, 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 essentially.
Oh, yeah.
Like, well, and I don't even know if I It's not even that I really didn't like it. It was just the one time where I could, without having ever played the game, be like, okay, even I know this is like rushed, and like I don't know if they've built, I don't know if they've had the time to make this as crazy as it probably is. Because it's like I'm like, yeah, Joel's a violent guy, and but he's also like fiercely protective, and you understand that, but like to to sacrifice. Oh, you know what? I think it's also like I think the gravity of it could have hit more one if we really saw the more like if we had more time to really have a full development, I guess, to see the relationship grow. Like there was more time to see the contention and like the shakiness before it became like so before they really got close. Well, sorry.
Yeah.
Like, I think that would have made, like, seeing, like, wow, it went from, like, this to, like, him doing this just to save her, like, that would have had more of a gratifying effect. That and I think you're right. I think because, like, the show is really insulated, like, you're in this world, but, like, the world matters only in these minute moments in pockets
Mm-hmm.
communities. Like, like, oh, the cult people and his brother's, little town and like the like district they came from, like and like, that other in between town place where the fucking bloater or whatever was. Like there are all these small individual stories and pockets that I see the world through. And so I think it was hard for me to connect that in the relationship to this broad idea of like, no, but if she dies, she saves everyone. Like this can all be over. It's like I the suffering that we saw was so like
Minute. Yeah.
yeah,
And you see
isolated.
more of that in the game. That's what I'm saying.
No, absolutely. Like, nah, I don't think I thought about it before, but I'm like, that probably would have made that moment of all that he was sacrificing just for her hit a lot heavier. Because
Yeah.
I understood it in theory that I'm like, that's fucking crazy, bro. But like, it didn't hit me the same of like, what are you doing? But also like, okay, but like, what the fuck? Like, it didn't hit me in the same like,
And like,
way.
yeah, and like in a game perspective, see when you get to that moment and Marlene is like, you're in a cutscene and Marlene's like explaining to you. I've watched a lot of YouTubers during this part, Imani. I've watched a lot of YouTubers, like, and just myself. Just I actually, I'll never tell you the channel, but I actually have a YouTube channel of baby Jalen, 13-year-old Jalen.
What?
Yeah, no, actually 12-year-old Jalen playing The Last of Us. Yep. And now we're just gonna have people just searching for it. We're just gonna have people
Cyrus, I'm
hunting
gonna
it
need you
down.
to find that for
Found it.
me.
Found it.
Cyrus, I'm gonna
Yeah.
need you to
Found it. Is this you? Yeah. Yeah. Found it right here. Yeah. But
just splicing in like while we're talking.
they're
It's
like
just
they're like,
like
wait a minute,
really
wait a minute.
easy.
Okay, so how so 20 about 2013. Okay, every video in 2013. Okay, okay.
Every video in 2013.
Yeah, someone hey, people are that crazy. I'm just saying. But anyways,
Skinny looking, light skin bro.
sleek skin.
Yeah.
There he is. But
But yeah.
there's this entire interaction, right? Completely taken out of the show that I completely forgot about until this point. So there's a point where Joel and Ellie get separated when they're like in the city. Joel falls down to like the sewer and he's like fighting like sewer zombies and stuff like that. And like
Mm.
Ellie's like just like kind of hiding in the building until like you can like link back up to her. So when you get back up top, like they're in this hotel, he fell down to like the bottom. When he gets back up, he runs into these bandits, and one of them is like about to kill him, like drowning him in this puddle. Like, and you're like fighting, you're like pressing, you're like, oh shoot, and then like, and he's like, the gun's like right beside him, but Joe can't like grab it because the guy's like choking him, and it looks like Joe's about to die. And then you just see a hand grab the gun and shoot the guy in the head, and it's Ellie, right? And Joel looks at her. He doesn't thank her because this is the point where Joel is still like trying to reject that father daughter thing. Like, I don't care about this girl at all. I'm just smuggling her, nothing else, right? And Ellie's like, well, you could at least thank me or something. He's like, I'm thankful I didn't get my head blown off by a goddamn kid. And he's like just trying to continue being that hardened, like, I don't care about nothing else. She was like, hey, Ellie, I mean, like, you could have said thank you. It was either him or me. You could have said anything like that. And he's like, no, let's get out of here. So later, they're like in this courtyard, and Joel and Ellie are on this balcony. Joel's like explaining the plan to her. He's like, I'm gonna sneak down. I'm gonna try to kill like as many as I can. And Ellie's like, this is bullshit, Joel. You're gonna get yourself killed. Like, you don't trust me? He's like, I am trusting you. There was like a gun left up there on the balcony, like a hunting rifle. He's like, do you know how to shoot? He was like, I've shot at rats, but like nothing else. He's like, okay, it's the same concept. So he's like teaching her how to use the gun. He's like, hey, I'm trusting you. Like, this is the first sign of trust between the two of them. I'm trusting you, right? If I get in trouble down there, I need you to get another round in there. When you shoot a shot, you need to get another round in there quick, because I'm relying on you, right? And then before he drops down, he says, and by the way, it was either him or me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay. And then after that, when Joel and Ellie meet back up, like after you clear the bandits and everything, Joel picks up a pistol off of one of the bodies. Ellie's walking up with the hunting rifle. She's like, no, actually, hang on, Imani, I got you.
Come here, keep your head down. All right, now, I'm gonna jump down there and I'm gonna clear us a path.
What about me?
You stay here.
This is so stupid. We'd have more of a fucking chance if you let me help.
I am. You seem to know your way around a gun. You reckon you can handle that?
Well, I sort of shot a rifle before, but it was at rats.
Rats?
With BBs.
Well, it's the same basic concept. Lift it up. All right, now, you're gonna want to lean right into that stock, because it is gonna kick a hell of a lot more than any baby rifle.
Okay.
Go and pull the bolt back. Grab it right there. Just tug it. There you go. And as soon as you fire, you're gonna want to get another round in there quick. Listen to me. If I get into trouble down there, you make every shot count. Yeah?
I got this.
All right. And just so we're clear about back there, it was either him or me.
You're welcome.
Iconic.
Asshole should have known better. If you're gonna steal, you better make sure you get away with it, right?
All right, so they fighting everything.
Whoa, black crime. You killing black people?
Nah.
You stealing black people's guns? Crazy.
How'd I do?
How about something a little more your size? It's for emergencies only.
Okay.
And let me stop streaming. Fire, right?
No, it was good. I like, because I don't see much of the game. So
But
like,
again,
I
they
don't
cut
see
that,
how-
Imani. Why did they cut that? Why would you cut that entire interaction? That is something now, maybe whistling, whatever. Something low-key like that, whatever. But
What was didn't they have wasn't there something where she did shoot? Like, there was an episode where she shot though, right? Like, she shot someone that was attacking them.
there wasn't
But
any
there
kind
wasn't
of
like
plot
a
line.
development.
Yeah, there wasn't any kind of plot line like, oh, I don't trust this girl with a gun, da. Like, there wasn't anything of that. It was just like, all right, let's move on. Like, it's basically like, it's like, you know what it's like? It's like playing a board game, and you're just trying to hit all the good spots to make as much money or whatever as you can in order to win. but you're not actually like taking the time and having fun to play the game. Like that's exactly what happened here. I feel like that's why I don't like the live action adaptation, because I feel like the show is just, we got, let's say this plot point and this plot point and this plot point. Oh, you guys remember, like they're feeding off of those who have played the game, and they're looking forward that someone who has played the game will show those who haven't played the game.
Bro, that's the one. That's the
Yeah,
thing that they
they'll
do.
explain. The ones that have played the game will explain, hey, oh yeah, this is that scene where and then like more development happens and that kind of stuff. That's what they're looking forward to, instead of making a show so that everybody can be in the know on it.
Do you think that it would have been better if they took their time and maybe like split up the plot, so like season 1 didn't have to end with the whole big like
Yeah,
all going ape shit? You think that would have been
yeah.
better?
I think
You should watch Interview with the Vampire, because they do that. Just saying.
I
They take the first
think,
book and they split it up
you know
because they
what?
take their time with it. Just saying.
You know what? Like, as a writer, okay, y'all are gonna hate me for this. If I ever write a book, y'all are gonna hate this, okay?
Oh,
I
I know what you're gonna say.
I think the best place to end it, like a season, would be where Joel gets stabbed and you don't know if he's gonna, is like just speculating for years or whatever. I'm sorry, I would do it. I would leave y'all on a cliffhanger like that. I would.
I think that's fair. I feel like it's,
Because I was thinking of like, where would I end it? You know, like if,
that's a good point. I think I would too, though, because there's so much that like, but I think here's the thing.
no, that'd be so fire. I'm sorry, Monty. Like just thinking about it even more, I'm like, oh no, maybe that was stupid. No, that'd be fire.
Well, I guess, yeah, okay. You know what? No, I think it makes sense, because so for me with cliffhangers, you can't leave it on a cliffhanger that's too important. Like, because then like you're risking people either figuring out what you're gonna do at the end, and then there's just kind of like, okay, whatever. It's like a cliffhanger that like lasts like a super long time, like a season ending cliffhanger. Or you risk people like just speculating shit that's way cooler than what you actually end up doing. That's what I'm like terrified of that.
Here's the thing, though.
But
Sorry, no, I just want to say, I think because people have played the game and people are gonna look it up anyways, I think you can just play off of that. You end it with Joel dying, and they're like, "Oh, I looked it up. Joel's not gonna die. He doesn't die. Ellie
true.
literally saves him." Like you can literally play with that.
Yeah, and I think that's why I think it actually does work, because I was like, I don't know, because like then like what if people are like, oh yeah, like they could just look it up. But because I think what made that scene impactful wasn't the fear of Joel dying. I was like, I think it's unlikely he's gonna die, but it was like, what the fuck is Ellie gonna do? Like she can't. Like she's still like, she's badass. She's been fucking killing it. But I'm like, she's still a child. There's not much that she can do on her own in this way. Like that's the fear. And the end of that next episode was terrifying. Like her on her own was just terrifying.
Yep.
And so I think
In the
that
game,
is a
that's the
great-
first time you play as Ellie in the game, by the way.
Really?
Yeah.
What? That's fucking sick. That's really fucking cool.
Because it's really cool because there's like opening scene. The scene ends with Joel like her like shaking Joel on the road or whatever, and she's like, Joel, you gotta get up. I don't know what to do. Like you gotta get up, please. And then it fades to black, cut the black, and then winter, and then you just see Ellie with a bow, like just hunting for a deer or just hunting for food, and you don't know. There's no mention of Joel or anything. You don't know if he's alive until Ellie meets up with David, and she's like, medicine. Do you have medicine? And you're like, oh wait. Medicine.
Hey Dad, I'm doing a podcast right now. Can I call you back?
Excuse me, of course, podcaster.
Yeah, thanks. Love you. Bye.
Love you, Dad.
Yeah.
I guess he doesn't love you that much. Hey guys, yeah, that's our dad.
Crazy. Our dad,
That's our dad
we're siblings, guys.
from the show.
Yeah, he tortures somebody.
I'm not gonna lie. Can we talk? We gotta take a moment to talk about how fucking sexy Pedro Pascal is.
Oh
as
yeah,
Joel.
Pedro Pascal.
Sorry.
Okay, listen. Actually, let's do
No,
this.
you be talking shit about the casting all
No, no,
the
no,
time.
no. Let's listen. All right, for once, I'm gonna give you this. I doubted it at first. I not that I was a Pedro Pascal hater, because I knew that Pedro Pascal was an amazing actor from
Mhm.
my boy Oberyn Martell,
Oh
Game
yeah,
of
he was in Game of
Thrones.
Thrones.
Game of Thrones. I
All
loved
these
him.
bitches in Game of Thrones.
I loved him in Game
Crazy.
of Thrones, and so I was like, okay, yeah, yeah. That lighting is crazy, Money, the whole
Yeah,
time.
I've been shining for a while. Sorry.
But yeah, I was kind of I won't say I was doubtful, but I do think if you wanted people that looked more like Joel, I was like, Pedro Pascal's a little Hispanic, ain't he? I'm like, what are we doing here? But
I'm not gonna lie,
it works.
he was giving caucus race to me
He
in the
was,
show. I was
yeah,
like,
he was giving
he was
Caucasian
giving
in the show. I don't, he was doing that thing. And I was doubtful of the actress that played Sarah in the beginning, but
oh yeah,
they
I
did
didn't know
that
her
too. That was great. That was great. My only thing is when it comes to casting, it's because I'm like, okay, so you have a Hispanic father and a little black child, so the wife has got to be black. And if you show me some white woman, then I'm gonna just be pissed off because
Yeah, but they wouldn't do that.
they
They're
would do
surely
that.
they're not dumb.
Yeah,
Sometimes people do. They're like, yeah, we'll just mix it up in there, and I'm like, okay, but it does have to make sense.
yeah,
Like you can't just
yeah.
put anyone in there.
But anyways, the casting was great. I I think they could have picked a better Ellie. Sorry, but
Bella Ramsey's my
Bella
fucking
Ramsey
bitch.
also in Game of Thrones. She was great in Game of Thrones,
Oh, shit, Bella Ramsey was in Game of Thrones too. That's fucking crazy.
but you know she was great in
Also,
Game of
Bella
Thrones.
Ramsey looks 15, and they're like 23. It's fucking great. They're like 21 or some shit. I'm like, bro, you look like a child.
I will
It's
say,
insane.
her being however old she was when filming The Last of Us, she looked that age. That's fine. But 2 years later, we're on to part two. I ain't saying nothing. All I'm saying is she don't look Ellie's age anymore in the second game.
Wow. But wait, does
So
the actual like in the game Ellie looks different in Last of Us Part 2?
yeah,
Or are you
she's
saying
like obviously older. And if there's not some like,
baby?
is there
Can you
if
imagine if they change actors? I feel like that'd be weird as hell. This is like a completely different actor. Bella looks so particular and specific. I'm like, yeah, I don't know how you age that up. I don't know. She
oh,
just looks the same.
but okay, maybe we should cut the Last of Us conversation. But anyways, last thing we were talking about Pedro Pascal. I do
How
think he
fucking
added
sexy
some.
his mind
I
is.
do think he added some great aspects to Joel's character. That scene of him breaking down to Tommy, like I can't do it anymore. That's me trying to do what he did. I can't do it anymore.
Yeah, you're not an actor like he
I
is,
froze
so I
up.
get why you can.
I froze up.
Okay,
I was like, I don't.
he was doing something with his tongue. That's what he was. I can't.
I froze up. Tommy.
He's spelling out his words with his tongue. I
I
can't.
froze up, man. Is it Joel? Are you all right? No, but
You flirting with me, bro? That's crazy. I know this is the end of the world today.
no,
I gotta wipe.
but that was a great scene, right? I thought that scene was great. Even the actor that played Joel, Troy Baker, he said that he wished he could have added some more of that to Joel's character as well. I think that was
I
great.
just remembered something. But keep going. It's a yeah. Keep
No,
going.
I think that was great. But my problem is Bella Ramsey. Sorry, I don't think I didn't like her as Ellie when in the casting, and I didn't like her after watching it. I didn't think she every time my
That's crazy.
Ashley. I'm sorry, I always get Ahsoka's voice actress and Ashley and Ellie's voice actress confused. Ashley Johnson, I think, is Ellie's voice actress.
I'm gonna look
Is
her up.
it will always be my Ellie. I always get Ashley Johnson and Ashley Eckstein confused, but Ashley Johnson will always be my Ellie. Like that
She
is
has
the
a boring
voice.
fucking name.
That is the voice I don't care. Honestly, she could have played Ellie. She was actually the mother of Ellie in the last episode.
She's a grown ass fucking woman. No, she couldn't.
Be a hater,
Bro,
but it's okay.
I am a hater. Damn. They do look similar though, I'm not gonna lie.
Who, her and
But that's why her playing her mother made sense to me. But I'm like, bro, it just, and again, I think accuracy needs to make sense for certain reasons. But
and
I'm
Troy
like,
Baker
and
looks
I
enough
get,
like looks enough like
no,
Joel
but
that
I'm like, I don't care. Like, I just don't think it like, I don't think it took away from performance.
it
at
didn't.
all.
It didn't. Pedro Pascal, he brought that thing.
But I think Bella Ramsey did a good job as an actor. I think that they did great. I don't know, like even the fact that they don't look as much like Game Ellie. I'm like, I don't care.
I don't care. I don't care what they look like. I just don't think Bella Ramsey brought it. Like Pedro
And I
Pascal added something. Bella Ramsey, maybe she can. Maybe
disagree,
she can do
but-
better in the second season.
Men love to hate. That's all I'm getting. Men love to fucking hate.
Whatever.
But I will say, because you started talking about Pedro Pascal, and I was like, the actor I've been thinking about, who I don't know if you've seen anything he's acted. No, you have. Did you watch The Falcon and the Winter Soldier?
I did.
The show.
Yeah.
Then you have seen Danny Ramirez. You can ask Tyra. I remember seeing him for the first time, not like in real life, but like seeing
Danny
pictures
Ramirez.
Of,
is that the guy that was like Falcon's sidekick or whatever?
Yeah, he plays Joaquin Torres. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
the new Falcon.
Okay. Yeah.
I saw him in the show and I was like, oh, quirky, whatever. I saw a real picture of him and I was like, he has gorgeous hair. He had this like sick outfit on, and I was like, why the fuck would they cut your hair like that? Like he plays, and he was in Top Gun Maverick too. And they cut his hair like he's a fucking goober. He looks like he looks fine, I guess. But I'm like, why do this? But the reason I was thinking about him, one, because he showed up today, and he's been promoting a lot of weird fucking movies. Yeah, in my apartment.
Oh yeah. Oh, word.
We had a date. I was cooking for him.
Damn. Okay. 4 hours. It makes sense. It's all lining up now.
Yeah. That's crazy.
What was that? Did you eat his ass? What happened?
Is this eating ass? That's the back of his head. I'm grabbing his hair.
Oh, you ate his face.
Yeah, I ate his face.
Oh,
that was
okay,
the It took a long time to prepare.
His face.
But stop, I'm confused. I was on his Instagram. He's been promoting a lot of weird ass projects, like projects that I wouldn't like he's like written a show with some guy that made a. Have you heard of the play Slave Play?
Slave Play?
It's a play called Slave Play. I haven't either. Apparently it's like really popular. It's been on Broadway. It sounds weird, but like he's like writing a movie or something where it's like a war vet who like watches this like cam girl who I guess like gets into some trouble, and it's about him like rushing to save her. It's like this weird quirky thing of like relationships online, but it sounds hilarious and kind of interesting and like maybe kind of cute. But none of that matters. I brought him up because he's gonna be in season 2 of The Last. I can't remember what character.
Oh, The Last of Us.
I think he's
really.
I need to look it up.
Let's look it up then,
yeah,
because
I remember I was
actually,
so excited.
You know what?
I
have some ideas of who he will be.
Wait, guess first. Don't look it up. I'll tell you. Guess first.
I don't know his name, but I think. Wait, is it spoilers? If you know the cast.
I looked it up a little bit. Like I didn't look up details about like the character. I just kind of looked up like in general what the vibe is.
I don't know his name, so I would never be able to guess his name. I would only have to say the character that is associated to him, but that would be a spoiler. So I'm just gonna abstain.
It is. Hold on, wait, Manny.
I knew it. Okay.
I feel like the Hispanic kind of like, because I'm like, okay. Well, I don't know if the Hispanic plays a role into it. I don't know. I don't really know much about this character. I just know he's like
Manny is Hispanic. Okay. Who's playing?
I just know he's like kind of a villain. I'm like really excited because I'm like, I don't know. But I don't want to get spoilers and too much stuff. But I'm like, okay.
All right, hang on. I gotta look up something.
Oh no.
Ooh, okay, hang on. I gotta look this person up.
My sister's sending me pictures of her ass, and I don't know what she wants me to say about it.
Hmm. Hmm. I guess she looks like her, but hmm.
Stop! I'm cute. Wait, I want to know because there's like other people. It's like this person's also joining the cast. Nora, I don't know who Nora is.
Oh! I'm sorry. Hey, Monty, this is us. Okay, I think we need to stop because
Okay.
we're gonna get into
Owen. Okay.
because I'm gonna want to talk about The Last of Us
Who
Part
you
2,
are.
and you
I
can't.
know.
You
Okay.
can't.
Yeah.
And I don't want to
get it
spoil
there.
it for you.
Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
like,
That was
either
the
play
one
the
thing I wanted
second.
to say.
Look, either play the second game or wait for season 2.
Stream it. Are you gonna stream you playing the second game?
Would you watch me?
I would watch you. I mean, it depends on when, but like you stream late at night anyway.
It doesn't. I don't feel like it matters when I stream. I'm saying like if I save the VODs, would you watch them?
Ooh.
Like you could like listen to them. Like
Yeah, you're funny. Can I be honest? I was literally I was thinking, would I rather like listen to Shaylin play the game or someone else? I was like, I think it'd be fun. I think it'd be a vibe. Listen to you play the game.
now,
I probably would.
I will say, I've seen people do this lately. Like you could just look up a no commentary like walkthrough of the game. Like,
but I want commentary.
It would be like you're just watching a show, basically.
That's true.
I've seen
but
people do
like
that to like catch up with like God of War, like lore and stuff like that. Like they watch like Kratos' old cinematics and everything.
See, and that makes sense. But like when my brother plays God of War, it's great because then I just get to listen to him be like, "Oh fuck, shit, nah, I went the wrong way." And I was like, "Have you tried this other thing?"
Have you tried?
I like the commentary because usually they're not like pausing the game. You know, like gamers know how to multitask. Like usually they're like playing and talking and things like that. So I like the commentary. It feels like I'm wearing it together. Sorry, my sister's blowing up my fucking phone.
I'm also
too busy to respond to your only sister. She's so fucking dramatic.
I'm also gotta love that though. That's beautiful.
She like double texts me all the time. Where like she'll text me something, I don't respond for a bit, and she's like, "You can't text me back," and I'm like, "If it's important, call me." What do you want?
That's so funny because
she asked me about my weekend, or about my week, and she's mad that I didn't text her back, and I'm like, "This has nothing to do with you. I can answer that at any time." Sorry.
Yeah, answer it next week. Oh, you know what? I actually don't remember that week before.
Fuck,
Damn, really that's unfortunate. But this week, I'll let you know about that later. Yeah,
next week.
I'll get back to you on that one. Okay.
That's funny.
But
sorry, what were you gonna say?
My brother doesn't ever reply to my texts. If you would see a string of texts. If you were to look at our phone, you would see a string of texts. That is me, and then my brother, my brother uses his phone for music, Imani, and TikTok. That is it. If you try to call him, he will miss it. He never like keeps his phone by his desk. You never rely on Chase. Like if you're stuck in a room and you're like, dang, you can only make one phone call. Who will it be? Don't call Chase. I would never call Chase. Chase would be like, oh my bad. I was playing Overwatch. Yeah, my bad. I said, actually, I don't even think I charged my phone. Actually, I think I don't know. Like I literally I text Chase and then I have to go to him and say, Chase, look at your phone. He's like, oh.
Anyways. Okay, that's insane. Cause I feel like I wonder if that's like the new generation. Because I feel like there's the generation of us, I feel like we kind of grew up with technology. And like because your phone couldn't do that much when you were growing up, like texting was the thing you did on your phone. Like you texted and you did other things, maybe like mobile games. But maybe because there's so much you can do on your phone now, maybe like they're just not using them at all anymore. They're like, this is like it's just like carrying my TV around with me. I wouldn't do that. I'm just vibing through life. Or maybe Chase is really fucking weird.
He plays Overwatch, so yeah, he's definitely a little weird, but yeah.
Whoa. You shit on Overwatch players?
I used to be an Overwatch player, guys.
I
Imani, one day I'll tell you about my lore of getting out of the toxicity that is competitive gaming.
oh, you gamed competitively?
Well, okay. I forget that I'm talking to a non-gamer that doesn't know what that means. Not competitively in terms of money or anything. I just mean like
Oh,
I just
like
mean like
you
I
play
played
against
the competitive ranked mode and I would get a rank. Like in Valorant, I
like
hit like Ascendant,
oh
which is
yeah.
like the third highest rank in the
Oh
game.
like Fortnite if you were to like play
Yeah, but I've never played Fortnite.
it.
Actually, I was there was a time where I was one of them crazy builders that could all that, but that ain't me
Oh
anymore, Imani.
shit.
I can't do all that. And
Not
now,
anymore.
Imani, Chase said that Tyra nerfed
Are you
me.
eating your fucking like boogers? What are you popping? What tiny ass shit are you popping into your mouth?
Xanax.
Whoa.
Okay.
Is it that much work to talk to me?
Yeah,
You
it
don't
is.
take drugs.
It is. No, it's a Skittle.
Oh, they're so tiny. You made that you disappeared that shit so quickly. I was like, oh whoa, you froze. That was crazy.
You froze.
No, you froze.
I was chilling here. My computer's fine. That was on you. I'm
I
kidding.
can't wait to see which one of us froze. When serious? Why am I forgetting his name? Cyrus?
Dang. Cyrus is gonna just cut you out.
No,
Any point you make, he's just gonna cut you out of this entire video. That's
he's like
crazy.
fuck you.
He's
It's
like,
just
yeah,
you talking.
it was so weird. It's just
It's
me
you talking
talking.
about The Last of Us, just answering my own
Yeah,
questions.
I'm replying to myself. He's gonna what he's gonna do is he's gonna put me and he's gonna put me on the other side. He's like, no, it's crazy because
Yeah. Oh, that's a good point. That's a good point.
oh yeah, no, man, for
Speaking of
sure.
which, we were talking about talking to ourselves and the joy and benefit of having a full conversation with yourself last week, which I still feel like.
What was the question I even asked? I know I left you with some
Did I write
like
it down?
I didn't write it down, I'll tell you that much. But I know I left you with some like super philosophical question. I think it was something about writing. It was like, do you something when you're
I know
writing?
we had
Oh,
talked about music a
interviews.
little bit.
Interviews.
Interviews.
I was like, do you do pretend interviews of your writing?
Oh, like when you talk to your see, because I remember I misinterpreted you because I like what I do like interviewing my characters. That was another thing that I was gonna bring up, but it was like a side tangent.
No, I'm talking
I
like
love
oh no, go ahead.
no, I know what you're talking about, but like I like interviewing my characters as well. But yeah, no, you were like, do you do like talk to like interview yourself of like asking question? You're like, that's a good question. Da, da, da.
Yeah, well, I actually got the idea for this character. Yeah, that kind of thing.
Oh my god, wait, we did talk about this because I think did I tell you?
You envision
I
talking
literally
with the Noel?
yeah, I was like, it's me on the TMG podcast, and I'm like, it's not even it's the TMG podcast. It's like Smosh. It's any channel that I watch that has a podcast, and I'm there, and I'm like, even if I shouldn't be there, there's no reason for me to be on. But I'm like, yeah, so when I made this and things like that. I think I mentioned it last week, but like, I do that. Sometimes I do that because it really helps me figure out things for some reason when I take the additional layer of like explaining it like I've already done it, kind of helps me think through what I want from it. Like I was having a lot of trouble figuring out where I wanted to go with like my big story, the one that I really want to write. And I think I have to take a page out of your book. This is like a little side tangent. I think I gotta make a trilogy. I was really hoping this would be like a one and done book thing, but I was like, I think I can tell the story in one book. I forgot trilogies are even a thing. I feel like they're so early 2000s.
There's also duologies, which are
true.
Which are a lot weirder to me. I don't know. I like odd numbers. When it comes to books or movies, I like odd numbers. I don't know what it is. It's something about like oh hell yeah, dog. 3 books.
It's a better balance.
It's also because like I just imagine it's like kind of like a 3-act structure kind of thing. Like there's a first book, second book where like maybe the heroes are like on their lowest point, and then the third book where they're like coming back, and then bam, and then it just expands from there. You know, there's 5 books,
And
and
you could
so on
like
and
keep
so
going.
forth.
Because I'm trying to think of like what is the 3-act structure, and I don't know the technical like stuff for
I
it.
couldn't tell
But
you like off the top of my head, but
me either. But like it to me, in the way that I think I want to do it is like, and I think it's this the way you're gonna do it too, based on what you've told me about like your books, is like you have the initial story, and then like by the end of that first story, you're realizing that there is all this context, like either context or perspective that you've like missed, or like adds like so much additional world building or like understanding of like what's at stake here and everything. And that's stuff that gets really teased out in the second book while still building that momentum. And it's like the third book is really like the breaking of like all that you've really kind of been able to gather and learn. At least that for me is I think what I'm that is
envisioning.
sort of the structure that is going to be it for me.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I love the idea of a book that you can like once you get to those last like 3 books, you're like, what? None of this makes sense. Like, what? Where'd that come from? Or something like that. And then you look back at the first book and you're like, damn, he had all this set up from the beginning, bro. That's so fire.
Mm-hmm.
Attack on Titan. But, you know,
Oh shit! I need to watch Attack on Titan.
you do, Imani. You do. And when you do, come back here. But also ReZero in a way. Listen, listen. I'm gonna go on a ReZero tangent for a second because
No.
when
Again.
I tell you, Imani, that ReZero is like a dream. It is like a dream idea for fantasy because if you think about it, you can literally. I mean, like your character dies again and again. You can set up so much. You can foreshadow so much how characters act and everything. And you can kill characters again and again, and it doesn't matter because they'll come back. And it's just like you can just set up so much. And I even think to myself, man, I've even written down like how uh his name is Tape Nagatsky. I've written down at some point the way that he goes about like, okay, this is the arc. This is what Subaru needs to do to like save everyone. But first, Subaru's gonna do this, and he's gonna end up running into these characters down here who are right here for right now. He's gonna get killed over there. And then Subaru instead, he's gonna wait a few days and then go that way. But these dudes are gonna be up here by now. Subaru's gonna run into actually the other faction that's sitting over here, and then he's gonna attack them with the people that killed him last time, and he's gonna die in that fight. That kind of thing, Imani. Like that kind of stuff is so genius. And
Okay.
I've never seen like I can't even think of a show that or a novel or anything that reaches that level of just genius writing where you could just go on and on. It's
Okay.
beautiful.
So I will say, I feel like you're selling it to me a little bit more. But again, it's because every time you talk about ReZero, it's like, God, and he's just so depressed and he just wants to fucking die and it's great. And I'm like, well, I don't know if I want to like watch that. But like the 2 episodes that we did watch, I was like very compelled on how they like went about the restarting and like how things changed each time. And I feel like they did it in a way that was like felt super, super natural.
Mhm.
Wait, did we talk about because now I'm just thinking about like time loops. Did we talk about the what's the fucking show called? It's
Time
on
loop.
Netflix. It was like a mini series. I know I got Tyra to watch it. I know
Time.
I got Tyra to watch it, and I feel like Tyra might have gotten you to watch it, but I don't know.
I
Hold
think I
on.
know what show you're talking about, but I didn't watch it.
I
I
just
think I
think
do know. Because I think Imani Tyra told me that it was some kind of um like it was like scarring her, but like it was also compelling and kind of confusing.
yes, Bodies. Yeah.
Bodies,
It's
yeah.
called Bodies. Yeah. And it is. It's like I'm like it's traumatizing, but also kind of good. Very ReZero is on. I gotta say.
Okay.
But I literally I would like fully recommend that. I feel like half of this podcast is just us recommending shows back and forth, and we're like, yeah, for sure, and we don't.
Those that are
Just
listening, they're
don't
just writing it all down. Okay, ReZero.
like sure for sure. We gotta do like maybe in a couple weeks. I think we gotta actually do like a show exchange, and like watch a couple of episodes of like shows and
I
like
want to
track
do that
that.
tier list that you were talking about.
I do too. Wait, we gotta write down like I do this like we're recording, but I'm like I need to write this shit down now, or it'll get lost in the ether. I do think the tier list would be super cool, and I do think the show exchange because there's so many good shows we could talk about. But I feel like that because that was I reference bodies because I haven't watched anything like ReZero, and like that level of like I was impressed with how much they were able to like I was like I've never thought this much about how little things you do and how a time loop like works and like all the things that go into it. And it's like it sounds like a headache, but the payoff is fucking magnificent, you know? And like I so maybe I'm not gonna say like maybe I'll give ReZero a watch. There's a likely
No,
chance in
no.
my life.
We've already made this exchange. I'm watching Interview with the Vampire. You're watching
Okay,
ReZero. We've already made
that's
this
true.
exchange.
I mean, it was a verbal contract. I don't know if that's violable by law, but no,
Um,
that's fair.
so we're already at an hour, but I kind of wanted to touch on some of my topics a little bit. You want to choose like
Yeah,
one topic each, and we'll end it there, kind of thing.
sure. I
Okay.
do. I have a topic. I have a topic. Sort of.
Okay. Power systems.
That's so dramatic when you do this. Sorry.
Power systems, Imani. Now, the thing is, you can write a power system out, right? A power system as intricate as Jujutsu Kaisen, as magical as I don't know, Lord of the Rings. You can do something like Avatar, and you can write down all these things, right? Like, oh, you can only use this power when you're doing this, and you can only use the power when you're doing that. But my question to you is, how do you go about implementing, like, because you can't take everything you've written down, like, that's great, that's for you, but you can't copy and paste that into a novel. So how do you go about explaining your power system without it coming off? Because I've seen this so much in like anime and stuff, like Naruto, Hunter x Hunter, um, where actually I think Avatar did it really well. But Naruto and Hunter x Hunter, where it's literally almost like I'm sitting down in class and I'm learning. Okay, should I be writing this down? Okay, so jutsu, so you can only do these kind of jutsus because you're an air and fire type, and then like okay, yeah, okay, and then okay, yeah, no, yeah, I got you. And then nin, okay, then there's five types of nin, but okay, but you can use all five of them. Okay, no, I got you. No, I get it. And it comes off very like unnatural, like,
Yeah.
and
I
it's
mean,
just
usually
like,
they have to re-explain because I'm like I didn't get that shit at
and no,
all.
oh well, Jujutsu Kaisen does it too. I don't even think they do it. I think they explain domain expansion in a good way. I think that's great. But I think the power,
Oh,
like the sorcery and the domain expansion, I think that's explained fine. I think when it comes to individual innate abilities, that's when I'm like, okay, I'm done. So how do you think a person in novel form, because you can do a lot in a show, but when it comes to a novel, it's a lot harder to explain your power system without it coming off as if I'm reading a philosophical novel.
like a guidebook.
A guidebook, yeah.
And it's easier to info. Also, I need to get my charger really quick, but it's like easier to info dump when like you get pretty little pictures with it. In a book, it's just fucking words.
Yeah. That's all Imani's gonna say, guys. This is the end of the podcast. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one. This has been the Aceline podcast, by the way. I'll see you guys.
I was trying to think of something that I have that I could pretend we're sponsored by, but I don't have anything near me.
No, I was
There's
just
just absolutely nothing.
I was just making a joke because you said that, and then walked out. So I was just like, and that's gonna be it. That's all Imani's gonna add to that question that I asked. That's the end of the podcast. Hope you guys enjoyed.
Can you imagine I just don't come back? That'd be really funny.
Yeah, no, I think it's crazy. Like, I don't even know how you would be able to do it.
Yeah, I don't know how the fuck you do that. Yeah. Then you really are having the podcast with yourself. Oh, so valid. I think that's a good point. And again, I don't know. I feel like I haven't read. You have more experience of this than me. I haven't read too many books. I haven't read too many books with complex
Imani
power
doesn't read.
systems. Honestly, I'm illiterate.
No.
So I can't do anything. But like legit, like I don't think I take to them as much because it's so hard and so complicated, and like I think that's why Jujutsu Kaisen I like, and I feel like they could have been like I though you don't have to, if you build your world right in my head, you don't have to really explain why individual people can do what they do. Like
Yeah.
not deeply. Because it's just like your power system will have enough freedom in it that it's not like math to figure out like why a person can do the thing that they can do. It just kind of comes with the territory. Like I that's kind of what I feel like though, somewhat.
I feel like you say that I have more experience reading, but like I actually haven't read too
Yeah, I
many
can't read.
books. I actually haven't read too many like fantasy novels where they deal with um like power systems. I think when I read, haven't finished it. Sorry, girlies. When I was reading A Court of Thorns and Roses, I thought that there were powers that were well explained. Like when one of the characters, Ryzen, was explaining winnowing, which is like their version of teleporting. Like he did, like it made so much sense to me. Like winnowing, like before they were like, okay, whatever, you know. But when Ryzen explained it, he said it's basically like you have one corner of a piece of paper and you have the other corner of the paper and you fold it together and those two meet. So you're like basically bridging the gap between those two. And I'm like, damn, that's fire.
That's a good fucking way to. I like that.
When I read that, see, like because like the main character is like learning this power, you know, and she's like, I don't know how to do it. Like he's like just basically think of it like that, you know, like you're taking these two pieces of paper and you're meeting at a certain point, and I'm like, that's fire, bro. And I think that kind of stuff is great. I think that's how you should go about explaining like powers. Like you should do it, I guess, kind of one by one. Don't give me a novel. Or don't give me a, like you said, a guidebook. Don't give me a novel. Actually, you know what? Make it a show. That'll be better for me. No, don't give me like a guidebook. Like I didn't buy a martial arts textbook. So okay, so you got to put your knee up like this, and only when I put my knee up like this can I use that water attack. Okay, no, I got you. I don't want that. I want you to explain it in a way that will make sense to me. Now, actually, there's a couple ways people do this, right? You have the dumb character, right? That knows nothing about the world. Maybe they got transported there. They know nothing of this world. So you can just kind of dump all the information onto them.
Yeah.
Like because they are like acting through the audience kind of thing.
Right.
Or, but what happens? My problem is what happens when you have a character that does live in this world that doesn't know about the powers. You can't dump the information on them like they don't know anything. They do know, they just don't know how to like put it into practice. So you can't like say, oh, they're just dumb and they don't know anything, dumbass. So that's why we're all explaining them, like even the little bits, like they don't know how to walk. I don't understand. Like, what do you mean? You don't, like, you have to explain to me how to run? I don't understand. So I think when it comes to stuff like that, I don't know, you just got to think about it differently instead of just giving me dumb characters to throw it all on me.
Exactly. I was gonna say I think that's why the court of rose and thorns, the rose and the thorns.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The thorns and the rose in the court. I feel like that works so well because you have this new character that's being introduced to all this stuff. It's like that's a perfect scene in and of itself of being like, "You're dumb. Let me explain in dumb language. You take the two pieces of paper and you put them together." But it's a perfect way to teach someone. I think you're right. Like it's way harder when like you're describing a story of someone that's already there. Who was it? There was because I was gonna say, oh my god, I literally have it. That's so funny. I was like, what is the book that I read? City of the Mortal Instruments. I read
Oh,
like a
okay.
couple of those books, and like but it's the same thing where it's like you have an outsider and just coming into this world. So like they do info dumping, but like it's hard not to, and like it's not so, there are like down periods, like not every moment is a fight, and like almost naturally those are the moments where you'd be like, okay, I have questions, you know? So
Hmm.
honestly, sometimes even though it's more convenient, I feel like would have someone that's coming out going in, sometimes it's also like more annoying because you know they're gonna have all the questions. And so now it's like it the way in which you get introduced to it is just like very basic and like lesson structured, you know what I mean? Instead of like really like involved. And so I don't know, I feel like we there are probably super way more creative ways to are you winking at me? You
I'm
have a
I'm
girlfriend. Relax.
I'm popping my toes.
Oh, that's fucking oh, honestly, so valid. That was just so ominous. I was like, I don't know what you're leaving on to do. But I feel like especially for you and like your stuff, I like I've seen drafts of stuff people have written and like how they build out the world, and it's just sort of like in a reflective way. Like it's in a way that of being like, oh, like the gate like I walked up and it scans my eyes and the gate flies open and it's like I remember when I was younger, like, you know, it didn't scan open because I hadn't had the eye gift yet, you know, but now it does. Like, you know, shit like that, where you can be like you can like dig it in with like in like reflective mental moments that aren't like in it, you know? Like books are good for that because you don't have to show anything. It's
True.
just sort of like your mind wandering and like it's still engaging and telling a story within the story of being like, oh yeah, when I was younger, you know, before this, you know, da 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 da, and like, well now, da da da. I kind of fuck with that. It feels simple. I never get lost. It feels like related, but it does drag the fucking scene. That's the unfortunate part. Because then it's like, especially at the start of the book, it's like it's like one thing has been happening forever. You just have to keep taking breaks to like go back and explain things to world build, and so it's just like that one scene or that one event lasts like for fucking God knows long. And it's so much back and forth of like, oh, we're done like kind of reflecting on how this thing works and now we're back here. It's a lot of, you know, like pros and cons, I feel
I think now I've never read Lord of the Rings. All right, I'm gonna just put that out there. Not that I don't think you've read Lord of the Rings. I'm just saying, like, for those out there that are like,
like. Yeah.
in the if anyone's in the comments like, oh, bro, you should read, or bro, or how about in Lord of the Rings when dubba dubba duh. I don't know nothing about Lord of the Rings, or the Rings of Power. I know people don't like the Rings of Power, but I'll know. Um, I love Game of Thrones. People tell me, oh, because you love Game of Thrones, you would love Lord of the Rings. Listen, I have Lord of the Rings books. I don't like elves. I don't like elves. I don't like high fantasy like that. I don't like that kind of
Bitch, you
stuff.
play Baldur's Gate. What?
Okay, but that's an entirely different thing though. Anyways, my point is I like George doesn't have powers to explain. Like there's no it's kind of a low fantasy, like where the magic is dead and like mystical things happen. Not a lot of people believe in magic because like it's been gone for so long, like did it ever exist? That kind of thing. Um and so all everything that's kind of mystical, it's like, ooh, whoa, that was more mysterious or anything like that. But I think that how George explains the history of his world is how I imagine someone would explain a power system. But sometimes George does go a little too far, I think. Um,
Whoa, relax, George.
you know, I think sometimes like George, sometimes I'll be in the middle of I'll be reading a chapter and they'll they'll have like someone walk in and be like, oh yeah, that's Sir Arthur the Fourth. uh he uh he is the son of Arthur the Third in Dubba Dubba Duh, and his house has lived here for the longest time, and he pulled out the ancient sword of their house, which is Star Killer, and
He's a Virgo. His birthday
his
is March
Virgo.
15th.
He was a
Yeah.
knight. There was one time where he killed a knight, and that's where he earned the name Night Killer or something like that. It's basically stuff like that. Like George just goes through all this, and I'm like, where are we? What are we doing? Oh, okay.
What were we doing?
I'm like, oh, okay. Jon Snow is still standing in the courtyard. Okay, yeah, okay, I got you. He's still standing in the exact same place. We just spent the last 2 pages explaining the backstory of the character. Okay, yeah, no, I got you. Okay, so it's that kind of stuff. It's like, it's good, but also it's like, am I gonna care, or is this just like a? That's why I feel like it's taken George so long to write his books. I think that's another reason. He just
He's
prolongs.
like, shit, nothing has happened yet.
He's like he's just
like,
prolonged. I wonder if George gets finished writing. He's like, damn, whoo, that was a lot of writing. Oh yeah, John is still standing in the same place, huh? That's crazy. I guess I gotta write the rest of this chapter. Like, well, I'll do that tomorrow. Like, I just feel like he does so much like lore building instead of like in the histories. It's like, okay, okay, dude, that's cool and everything. How about we focus on the now? Because
nothing has happened.
now is what, like, if I really look back at all the chapters, there will be times where I'll be like, okay, so in this chapter, all they did was walk up the stairs to the High Council and then walk back to their room. Okay.
And you don't want that. Like that's just so tough. Sorry, the sun is just the sun is just the sun is finding the one specific corner of my blinds that I cannot close, and it looks like this. So just whatever, bear with me. But no, I like that's like the trick. That's like you don't want that. Like you really want to have that balance where it's like your plot intermingles with the shit that your audience would want to know about the world. But I will say, and I reference because I don't read as much as I would like to. And also all the books I'm like circling with right now are like depressing as shit. So I'm just not reading anymore. But like the one of the I feel I don't want to like dox them, so I won't be in specific, but like in my like advanced fiction writing class, we read people's short stories all the time, and I think the very first one that I read for the class was sort of like a post-apocalyptic story where basically where like the people were living underground. Not to get into details of like what the story was about and things like that, but it was like it was a thing, and I remember I mentioned this in my feedback. I was like, there's definitely stuff I guess I would like to know about the world, but you've written it in a way where like I don't care. Like for the plot that you're showing, like for one, the concept in general isn't so foreign and so unbelievable. Like some shit happened on Earth and now we're living underground. It's not so unbelievable that I feel like I need to know exactly like how did we get here? Like I am curious, but it's like they started the story in a way that's clearly like I'm focusing on these characters and their relationship and how they're developing in this situation. So it's a thing where it's like you could have started in explaining to me like how this happened and how things went and all this stuff, but like that would have made it to me a very different story. And I do think it's important like you establish the world so that you can tell a whole story, but like you don't there are things I'm a firm believer that there are things as you world build and as you figure out power systems the audience never needs to know in the actual story. It can be something that can be explained as an extra, but like it's something that will show up in your writing without being explicit, like because it is a thing where you want to build the world, but like when you live your everyday life, you don't interact with everything that like you don't interact with politics every day. You don't have to interact with like government systems every day, or like biology every day. Like you do, but not in a way that's like, I'm not like gonna explain why I'm breathing and why I need it. Like it's just the thing that allows me to do everything else. And all you need to do is know that. Like I just feel like there are, because like that's a situation of like explaining this person's background, and I'm like, is it relevant to like the plot though? Because like I coming into a story, I'm caring about the characters first as you introduce me to them, not the world. I care about how the world affects the characters. And I feel like that's an important balance for people to like remember and recognize when they're world building of like, I don't need to know how all this stuff works, at least not right away. Not unless it's built into like the story that you want to tell me in the context of the world. You know?
Yeah, I think that, see, like, my answer to the question is like, I think you just trust in your audience. You give your audience, like, I think you have to think of yourself like this, okay? Your power, okay, you have your power system. Now, however many books you're gonna have, whatever, I don't know. Let's say you're gonna write 5 books. What about, or no, let's say you're gonna write a trilogy. What about this first book? Do they need to know? Do they need to know all the specifics of your power system? No. What kind of enemies are they going, are your main characters going to go up against? What kind of abilities will they have? Are they abilities
What do
that
they
you
need to
can,
know ahead of time
like
for
what,
that to like
yeah, like what do they need to know? What does your character need to know? Like, oh, okay.
Mhm.
Like, can you set it up and like kind of foreshadow it? Like maybe the character earlier is learning, hey, I can't just come up with an example like that, but hey, they're learning a specific thing, and then like, oh well, that wouldn't happen. Like, well, what if I have to do this? Oh well, that wouldn't happen, so you wouldn't have to worry about that. But if you did, this is how you would beat them. And then later in the book, you come across an enemy that does use that thing, and you're like, oh, but now I know how to beat that. That kind of thing. I don't know if I'm explaining that very well, but basically what
No,
I'm,
like that's like legitimately that's what, yes. Like that's what you should be.
I
And I
just,
I think that's it's this it's just the reaping the benefits of what you sow. Like honestly, sometimes I have trouble with that where I'm like, I feel like I just be yapping sometimes and when I write, and I what but it's like the feeling I get when I can actually connect something that happens later to something that happened before is fucking phenomenal. And it's so satisfying for you as a writer, so satisfying for the reader. You know what I mean? Like those are the things that you should put the world building effort into. Like I think that makes sense.
yeah, I just think that, I just think like look at Avatar. You know, what did we learn about
The
Avatar?
blue people are
No,
like the
sorry,
good ones.
Avatar Last Airbender. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if we're just looking at the first season, what did we learn about Avatar the Last Airbender? Like did we, like, we didn't know the specifics of every nation and how they all work, but we did know, okay, there are people that can bend water, there are people that can bend earth and fire and air. The airbenders are dead, except this dude
And
who is
there's
the
one
only
nigga that can
airbender.
do all of it for some
And
reason.
there's one man who can do all of it. Okay.
We didn't learn about the fucking spirit plane.
We
That's
didn't
not the
learn, yeah,
same.
we didn't learn about the spirit world. Well, we did, they did touch on the spirit world, but we didn't go into detail on it. We didn't learn
Nope.
about
Yeah.
like lightning bending or
Or
redirecting
blood
lightning
bending.
or blood
Yeah.
bending. But when you think about it, like that's
I need
why
to rewatch that fucking show. It's so good. God
it
damn
really
it.
is.
Right.
But when you think about it, right, when you're in that first season and you're thinking about, okay, you can water bend, can you bend the water in somebody else's body? Like this is these are things you can think about. Like leave, I think, trust in your audience. Leave your audience room to have their own ideas. Like you said earlier when we were talking about the Last of Us, you know, like leave it up to it. Like maybe they'll come up with ideas that are better than, but oh dang, I didn't think, yeah, they might be able to bend that idea or do
Yeah.
that, you know, like they might be able to use that ability somehow. Like leave the door open,
Yeah.
but
For rooms
don't,
to play.
for room to play. And if it is something that you were thinking about, good. And if your audience is thinking about it too, good. That means you got them. That means you got them understanding your world, your power system. So
I love that. No, I think that's so good. I think that's such a good point. I think that's like what I like that's kind of what I think about when I think about like world building and things like that of because I feel like this is good advice for me to think about for stuff because the world building is stressful for me. I like to wing stuff, but it's like really for me, it's just about establishing things that have payoff in some way in the actual story. Because if you're revealing information that has no actual tangible payoff into your understanding of a certain situation or a character or something in the future, it is sort of like you have to realistically think either you need to find a way to incorporate it more or it's like, well, why does it need to be there? So
Yeah.
it's a good point. You're right. Avatar is a really good example for me, I think, when I think world building, because
World
it's
building,
such a
power system.
specific yeah, it's such a specific world and like such a specific power system, but it doesn't need that much explaining. I also will say I feel like you people really, really want to be so unique and specific in like how they like people want to be so unique and specific about like how they do things and how the power systems work. And I get that and I think that's good and I think you should. But I do think your foundation has to be in something that is understandable in this elements. We understand that, like they play with it in different ways. It's done in a very specific way, but like that's a fundamental thing, like factions are fundamental, discrimination is fundamental. Like um I feel like part of why Jujutsu Kaisen was so uncertain to me, and I think part of that is cultural. I think there's like in Japan, I feel like there's maybe like historically a more tangible way for me to understand jujutsu and its connection in the body and things like that. I think that's fundamental, maybe more for people that are in that culture. But for me, it was like already a little difficult to fully understand, like coming from that basis. And then the all the things that were added on top of it made it more confusing, I think, for me. But I like the cursed spirit idea made perfect sense, like emotions and how they can control
Yeah.
people in the afterlife. I'm like that was in a basis that I was like, okay, that
Yeah, that
fundamental.
part I
I can,
understood. That part I
right.
understood. I think that
That
like
part for sure.
I think and I think that's why I was more interested. I think I liked Jujutsu Kaisen more in those earlier like episodes because it wasn't because now I'm sorry, it's just all fighting and cool abilities. And I was really I like horror stuff. I like cosmic horror and stuff like that, Bloodborne, all that kind of stuff. So I liked the idea of, oh dang, negative emotions like turn like is what created this cursed spirit
Mhm.
in this high school because all the negative emotions of like I think that kind of stuff
Of Dog
was
Dividend.
great.
Every time you do the double double double, I just want to do Dog Dividend.
I just I just think that I just wish they could have leaned on that more, like the scarier aspects of Jujutsu Kaisen more than the mystical or magical aspects of it. I don't know.
I think that's fair. I think unfortunately I can confer like with the not Shibuya incident, but the coin game arc. Like it's a lot of fighting. Like I don't think I really processed it until you said it. It is just a lot of fighting, and it's like low key exhausting. Like reading it in a manga form, it's fucking exhausting shit.
Yeah.
Like it's just so much. Have you? Uh I just think it's so fucking good. The Promised Neverland, like that's like probably my favorite.
I have not read it, but
It's probably my favorite. It's the first manga I ever like read like back to like well front to back. I guess
front to
no
back.
back to front technically, but like it's the first manga I've read, like all the way through because it was like recommended, and it's just it's like probably my favorite. I won't say my favorite anime because the anime cut out a lot of like important shit that was like so relevant and good and like stuff like that. But definitely my favorite manga, like hands down. And it does so again, I think it does a good job as well of like it's very that YN sort of thing where it's like the world is only this big because the characters are only existing in this space. It will like in like it's that like three-part structure I think where it's like in each part it expands. Like the Maze Runner was kind of like that. I think the Hunger Games is kind of like that. Like the world is very small and insulated, and like we explain what's relevant here, and then it gets bigger and bigger as you go on. And like I kind of like that structure. It's
Like
my
the
brain likes it.
dystopia kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
I think
Like you see more of the world as it goes, and you get to be more familiar with it as it becomes relevant. Like you don't need to like. And but also I think with a lot of those, part of the focus is like getting more knowledge like from the character standpoint too, because like often the characters are forced into a situation where they can only see so much of the world. So it's also kind of like that. But there are a
yeah,
lot of different ways that it manifests, I guess.
I also think that like something you brought up earlier wanted me to made me want to bring up Harry Potter because I'm just gonna get a lot of hate from anybody who likes Jujutsu Kaisen and anybody who likes Harry Potter because I also am not a big fan of Harry Potter. I will say there are parts of Harry Potter that I like. The story, world building, that's all good. Some of it makes me think like, that doesn't make any sense to me.
Mm.
But more specifically, I don't like Harry Potter's power system. Now I don't know anything about the books. I'm going strictly off the movies. There are certain things that characters do that doesn't make sense to me because I don't know, they didn't explain it well. I don't know. And maybe that is just like, a book thing, but I think that you see wizards doing magic in so many different ways, right? You see them using a wand. Sometimes you see them using their fingers, but there's no correlation and there's no like explanation like, okay, why can this person do finger magic and this person has to use a wand? Is it like once you get better, you can use like more than just a wand, or you can use like any part of your body? Can you use other weapons or something? Like, why is it that? And then like later is this whole plot line where the bad guy Voldemort can't like get everything he wants out of his wand because the wand doesn't belong to him, because in order to have the wand belong to him you have to kill the previous user, but the wand still works for him even if he wasn't the one that used it. And even after he like kills the person who he thinks, sorry, I might be getting a little confusing, even after he kills the person who he thinks did kill the previous user, making him the user of the wand, they weren't the one who killed him. So what's the difference now that you're using the
You feel
wand?
like the person,
Like
yeah.
like like because he doesn't say anything else about it. He's like, oh, now the wand belongs to me. It's like, but how can you tell? If you could use the wand the same way the entire time, what's the
Yeah,
difference now?
what does it mean? What does it fucking
And
matter if
so
you own it?
there's a point where I don't know if you've seen Harry Potter, but there's a point like at the end
Yeah.
where what I'm talking about, where they're like using their wand and there's like
Yeah, the beams
rays,
are
the
against each other
beams
and
fight.
they're like, meow, 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 meow.
I'm like, okay, so my question is, what spell is that? What are we doing? Can you like wait, what like that's never a
I thought
spell
they
we
always do
learn.
they not? I was under the impression
And
that they always say a spell when they use the wand.
no, they don't. They're just ugh. And then
Yeah.
my thing is, there's a lot of times like we spent so many hours. We spent so many hours learning Leviosa and Avada Kedavra and
Leviosa, not Leviosa.
like all these
God.
different spells. We've learned all this stuff, but the characters never use it. Like that whole scene. Do you remember a time? Okay. Do you remember anything? You remember that scene where Hermione is like, it's Leviosa, not
Not
Leviosa.
Leviosa.
Like
Of course.
that entire thing. That's iconic or whatever. You remember that scene, but do you remember in any way, shape, or form them using that to beat the bad guy at the end of the book, at the end of the movie, or they use it later in the series to
Troll
do something
scene.
else?
I mean, they use it in the troll scene. Like I know in like the movies. I
In the
haven't read the
troll
book.
scene, yeah, like, but like, do you
It's a
like
pretty immediate like
my point?
gratification.
Yeah, but my point is like all these spells we learn, but there's no build up and all that. Like why are we learning how to turn a rat into a cup? Why is that what we're learning? Are they going to use this? No, it's just a cool thing that we have for the then why show it? How about show me something that characters might use later? Like, I just think, and not that. Listen, we're not gonna get into school systems, but not that you always learn useful information in school. Okay, but my
But
like
also, it's a book.
like turning rats into a cup, whatever. But again, my thing is like
You don't have to include that.
you don't have to include it, and why not? Like again, this is like the whistling thing in a way. Like, why not build up to it? You know, like say a spell, but oh no, it's Leviosa, and then later, besides the troll scene, in a way, maybe even later in later books, where Ron being able to say the spell correctly is what saved Hermione's life. That kind of stuff. I'm a writer, sorry, but no, like that kind of stuff. That kind of stuff, Imani. Like I feel like they missed out, and
I
so
know.
that's why Harry Potter's power system like falls for me, and the whole world building falls for me too, because like okay, so Voldemort is trying to attack this one school, but you establish in another book, in another movie, that there are other schools. So why are the other schools not helping Hogwarts fend off this Dark Lord?
There are other schools.
I know, right? So
That's
during
crazy.
Goblet of the Goblet of Fire, other schools are coming together for like the Tri-Wizard tournament, remember?
Oh yeah.
So like where are those other schools when the Dark Lord is literally trying to kill us all? Where are any of the gadgets like to going back in time or anything like that? Where are any of these gadgets that we built up in other movies?
There's silence is deafening.
Nowhere. Nowhere. And I'm thinking end game stuff. Like even small jokes said in previous Avengers movies, Marvel movies, like they come back. You know what I mean? Why don't we have that kind of stuff come back? None of these gadgets, nothing that we established in earlier movies comes back besides like, I mean, I don't know because I haven't watched the movies in a long time, so I don't remember. But I'm sure some stuff did come back.
People are gonna fact check you, like
There they are. Actually, the reason why the wand is dubba dubba duh, and there was a difference because dubba dubba, yeah. But I just think the Harry Potter system falls flat for me, and you know, I don't even get me started on the fact that I don't know why wizards would celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ. You know, because they celebrated Christmas, and I'm like, I don't know why wizards
Hey,
would do that.
God made wizards. You didn't know that?
Word, yeah, my bad. But yeah.
Yeah. Watch yourself.
But yeah, no, I just think that
You're asking questions that I feel like you're like, I'm a writer, and I'm like, no, legitimately, because I feel like you're asking questions that ain't nobody, no one at the time was asking. But like, you can tell that just some people like they just have fun with their world.
they do,
But
and that's
sometimes they
fine.
make you
I want you to
haven't.
have fun.
No, absolutely. But it's also like, I don't know. Did I need to know this? But maybe I didn't. But like, it was fun, and I feel like that sometimes we get into that. It's just like we're having a good, goofy little time, which I don't think I could be mad at that. It's just like understanding the expectation that like not everything. But then you run into the problem of like, okay, if I'm coming into it with the expectation that not everything I'm learning is actually important, how will I know what to remember as a reader? And then that can be tricky. But I get it. I do get it. Make me want to read, but then this always happens. I'm like, oh man, I gotta read some more fucking
It
books, and
does
then I
make
get off the
me
phone call, and then I don't.
it does make me want to read Harry Potter. I would, you know, I'm not gonna lie. Like I have the Lord of the Rings books. There will be one day where I read them, and I've tried before. I've never watched the movies, and I will not watch the movies until I read the books.
I'm kind of the same way. I've had it in my head for a while that I'm like, I can read Lord of the Rings. But like, I don't know, I'm afraid. I'm afraid I'll start and I'll be like, I really hate
I'm afraid I'll
this.
start and I'll be like, damn, I gotta put it like because everyone says Tolkien is the father of fantasy, right? He's the father of writing in some cases. Like maybe you never heard of that. But
No, I have, and I'm like doubtful of like I don't know, man. Genres have existed for a while. Like to say he's the father of it, I'm like, I mean, he got really popular, but
He's like the father of fantasy, and they say that George R. R. Martin is like, who made Game of Thrones, is like the American Tolkien. So like that kind of stuff, it's like they're like anybody who wants to read, who wants to write fantasy should read Lord of the Rings. That's the thing that people say. And so not that I like am afraid that if I read Lord of the Rings, I'm gonna want to copy his work. Um
I really genuinely, Jalen, I doubt that's gonna be what you take. I
not
think if
that
anything, you're gonna be like, I have fucking problems with this.
yeah, I think that's what it's gonna be. Um I just I don't know. Like Game of Thrones is just more my around my alley. I think I like the low fantasy, low magic, low magic's dead in the world. And Lord of the Rings is a high fantasy where magic is
Everyone.
ever so alive and prevalent, you know?
No, I think that's why I'm like, I don't know. I don't like the comparison game sometimes because it's like, even within fantasy, there's different types of fantasy. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
And the
So like,
story I'm writing is so different from anything that I have to read so many different genres to yeah.
yeah, and I love that though. Like that's the type of shit I love reading is like genre stuff that's like all over the place. You know, if you had to pick your top, you know what? No, I'll leave this for. Let me know when we're wrapping up because I'll make this
Okay.
like my last question for you because I don't feel like talking about
We are at an
whatever I
hour
was
and
going to talk
45
about.
minutes, by the way. I know you still had a
That's
topic,
just
but
no, I don't. I decided halfway through. I was like, we'll just do that and I'll just save it for next week. It
and the
wasn't even
power
like a
system
hard
was
topic.
a
I'm literally so easy. I literally, you know me. I'm like,
you
we
know
can
me,
yap
girl.
about anything.
Yeah. Well, okay.
But
Let's go ahead and end with that then. What were we gonna say?
my question: What is what would you identify are your top three favorite television shows? Because I'm
Mm,
realizing when I thought about it briefly for myself, I there's not. Oh well, you know what it was. I was answering the question on. I we can cut this out. But if we need to, but I was answering one of the questions on the like Omegaverse test that Tara sent in the group chat, which is 45 questions, by the way. Way too
you
long.
know what? Let's write this down. I'm gonna write this down because next week we should talk about that
Talk
test.
about. I want to talk about because I got my results.
I got my result too, but if we start talking about it, then it's gonna be a whole
Yeah, it's
thing.
gonna be a whole thing. But one of the questions was talking about like I think favorite genre of shows. I think, and I was like, I don't really like. I was like, I'm all over the place. Like I like
Yeah.
the shows I like are so varied. So I'm kind of curious. I mean I know one of them obviously, but I'm curious if you had to think of two after ReZero. What would they be? And it might be different now than they might have been like a year ago. But
I mean, there's so many shows. Like, are we
so much.
talking just live action? Are we talking animated and live action? Like,
I'm talking across the board. And I
okay,
gotta say,
okay,
now the more I think about it, the more I'm realizing I know two. So really there's just one more that I wouldn't be sure what it
okay.
would be.
What are the two then?
ReZero and Game of Thrones.
Okay.
Oh, maybe I'm
Um.
wrong though. I don't know.
Okay.
Oh.
I'm sorry. Can you repeat the question? I'm sorry.
Yeah, but uh what what are the top three your top three favorite TV shows across the board?
Top three favorite TV shows across the board. Okay.
Yeah.
Um. I'm gonna have to say Avatar.
Oh,
Avatar
okay.
is one of them. Um.
Yeah, it's good,
I
it's good,
think
it's good.
I think out of all the shows I've watched, you know, I think of every show that I've watched as a kid. Um, you know, there was Star Wars: The Clone Wars, which was also an animated show very close to my heart, but it just doesn't. And then there was Legend of Korra, and the Legend of Korra was great, but they just don't. The Legend of Korra is great, and Star Wars: The Clone Wars is great, but they're two great shows for very different reasons. And so
Mm,
they're not my favorites, but they are in my heart as well. You know what I mean? And I think that Avatar completely like encircles my entire like childhood. It's just like It's great. So Avatar is one of them.
This is so interesting.
And then another one is gonna have to be Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones.
Stop saying it like you're like conceding, and I'm like,
no, but
we
like,
know.
but there are other like shows that I'm like,
really
dang.
good, yeah.
I'm like, but it's gonna. I will say Game of Thrones as well because, like, there's just so much that Game of Thrones taught me about fantasy, about the story that I want to write, um, about how characters like can be so like bloodthirsty, it can be so crazy, but they can just have one characteristic about them, one trait that makes them likable, that makes you go, damn, like you are a hateful person, but there's no doubt that you love your children. You know, like stuff like that. I'm like, so characters, there's not just good guys and bad. That's what Game of Thrones taught me. Like growing up with Game of Thrones, that's what Game of Thrones taught me. Like there's not good guys and bad guys. Like everybody, and there's not all good guys. There's no such thing as a good person in the Game of Thrones books. Although the show likes to depict a certain person as like the good guy, but Jon Snow. But even in the books, he is so different. Like, so I think that Game of Thrones is definitely my second. There's no order to these. The third one, so hard, but it's so hard because between Arcane and ReZero.
Oh.
Yeah.
Whoa.
But I have to go ReZero. I have to. ReZero is just. I'm telling you, what was it? One of the first episodes where I'm just like on a spiel about ReZero. I'm telling you guys, anytime ReZero is brought up, I'm gonna talk about how amazing it is.
See, and that's it's funny because you're like, anytime ReZero is brought, I don't know if I've ever brought up ReZero.
Yeah, it's just me. Until you watch it.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah, I think ReZero is just. It showed me exactly the type of story I want to write. Avatar, Game of Thrones, ReZero. Because ReZero, I'm like, I want that. I've always loved listening to horror stories as a kid and playing scary games. I've always loved that. But I've also loved fantasy. So ReZero capitalizes on all that. It's fantasy, but there's psychological horror, and there's all these great characters and great character moments that like you're freaked out, like, oh my god, but then you're like, damn, that's fire. That's a great idea. Also, not to mention that ReZero also just reminds me of a video game series very close to my heart. But yeah, actually, did we talk about Dark Souls at some point? Dark Souls lore?
We haven't.
I think I did.
We haven't.
I think we talked about that in a phone call before we started the podcast, and you were like, oh, I would be down to read that kind of stuff, but yeah.
Oh yeah, we have. Like we have talked about it, but like probably not in here.
Yeah, not on the podcast. But yeah, it's gonna have to be Avatar: The Last Airbender, Game of Thrones, and ReZero.
Damn, I wish I had thought about Avatar because I could have guessed the roster.
Yeah.
But that it is you're so transparent about that stuff. I think it's also because like those are the shows you look up to, especially when it comes to like your own writing. So like you especially talk about it.
It was also me just sitting here thinking like, damn, I picked the 3 shows that I like took the most inspiration from in my writing. Like if you were to think about my series, like just think about it right now, Imani. Like, is my series not just all those 3 shows like in one?
Yeah, basically, yeah. I mean, they all have like different world building, but the world building has a similar vibe.
Yep. Why are you rolling your eyes?
No, I was just thinking. No,
I thought you were like,
oh no, whatever. No, I was thinking. I was like, no.
What
I
are
don't
your
like fully watch those, so I don't know.
What are your 3?
I was worried you're gonna ask me because I realized I'm like I don't
You don't
know.
know.
I
You want a rain check on that one? Come back to it, or do you think you're not gonna think about it if we leave with that?
I think I
Let's do a bonus episode. Uh,
it's just me talking about. I think I have a good guess on what my three would be, but it's like I've watched some good ones. Like it's one of those things where sometimes I've like watched a couple of good ones more recently, and like the ones I'm thinking of are have become classics because it's like so long since I've watched them, but I was like, no, I still love them.
mhm.
If I start the next episode and I'm like, I have to change my ranking, then I will. But
Here, you want to write? Do you want to write down your ranking, or I'll write down your ranking, and then like if it changes,
oh yeah, I'll remember. I'll remember. I'll write it down
okay.
because I think Avatar. Like it is, and I
I
kind
think
of worry. I'm worried. Like, is that the same for everyone, or am I just
that's what I was
gaslighting
gonna
myself
say.
because everyone loves it?
Do you think everyone that grew up like I think it's so different because Tyra didn't grow up with Avatar: Last Airbender. She only like recently watched it and understood like how good it was. Like she thinks it's a good
Mhm.
show, but she didn't grow up with it, so like it's not
It
the
doesn't
like it doesn't hit the same like for her. I don't think like
yeah, and
it's still a good
I
show, but
wonder.
like you know, but like for
And
people
I haven't
who
watched it in a while, so I'm like, maybe I am like romanticizing it.
like, do you
But
remember the craze, Imani? Like people, kids at the parks were literally bending, Imani. When I was going to the pool, I would pretend water bending. I'm like, look, the water is running over my arm like that. I'm water bending,
oh
and
my god, wait, no, I did that in the pool too. You'd like push it forward like you were
yeah, you're like
bending.
ah. And then when you're in the shower, like the water's going over you like that. Look, and the water's going down your fingers. You're like, I'm water bending. Oh my god! Like
I don't know. I never do that
oh,
though.
oh no, yeah, I didn't do that either. That was that was yeah, no, for sure, yeah.
And when you're in fire, when you light yourself on fire because you're like pretending that
When
you're
you sit
fire
in the
bending
oven, just like you can like know what it's like to like be
to
imbued
feel
with
the
so much
heat under your
fire.
skin like Zuko.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
When you
right.
bury yourself alive. And stuff. But no,
When you
like
take
I
all
think
the air out of your lungs, so you know what it's like to live in a world. No, but I didn't know where I was going with that, so I just stopped
no,
myself.
I loved it. I loved it. No, I think that is I think part of why it's special is because it's like the earliest form of storytelling that I can remember that was like really showed like a beautiful arc. It was just such great storytelling. I don't even necessarily think it's like the most special thing in the world. I think it's
I
how
think Avatar is one
mundane
of the
it
greatest
is.
animated shows of all time. I think
See, and I
Arcane is the only show that has come recently that has like beaten it,
rival the fame.
rivaled it.
And I'm very like because there are shows that I love that I literally like fucking love that are so niche and random and like I like they're not even like by form that great, but it's like they did something specific that I loved. But Avatar is one of those things where I'm like I they've just made a story that I think it just makes perfect sense. It resonates with me. It's just like they just made a great story
It just
and
made the
like
perfect show. And when you think about the fact that it just came out of nowhere, like, have you ever just looked into how Avatar just literally like just a couple dudes? And not to mention that the cast of Avatar is great, but we've never seen them like Dante Basco, Mae Whitman, who played Katara. None of these actors we saw in any other piece of media. But when we watch Avatar, we're like, dang, no one else could have done that.
no, literally. I think that's like I think that's why I like it. It's just very infamous. Like I feel like you're making me like okay, it's a weird thing where like you're making me want to change my thing because I'm like, you're right, it's too mainstream. I gotta think of something better.
Nah. I don't
It's
think
good.
so.
But no, I don't think so either. It's just like I also just haven't watched it in a while, so I'm like I can't articulate why I think it's so special. But I think everything you said just I'm like, yeah. But let me move on because you're just gonna keep talking about Avatar, I feel
But
like.
like, no,
Um, there, I again, it might be nostalgia, but I think I just it was such a unique concept. I really fucked with it, and it was like the first time where I was like exploring like psychological, like how to write like a character that had like psychological like ramifications and shit. Death Note.
Mm,
I
okay.
fucking love Death
Okay.
Note. It was the first anime I like really watched. Like other than like growing up watching like Dragon Ball Z a bit and like
You
things
also
like
feel
that. But
like an
like,
intellect watching Death Note because you're just like,
whoa, so high brain. I think literally it was like the care that they put into like figuring this shit out. I would just really like the way, and I'm doing these things based on vibes. I'm like I don't think I'm gonna articulate that much on like why, because I'm like I it would take me too much rambling to like really figure it out. But I just think that was one of a story that like it made me realize that I really like this like psychological aspect of like storytelling where like we just see the ramifications of things like that, and I just liked the like psychological game of like who would win and like the moral ambiguity of it. I literally couldn't articulate to you why Death Note holds such a special place in my heart. Season two, the ending was I don't know about all that, but like I fuck with the characters
not
and
very many
the
endings
concept
stick the
was so
landing though.
specific. Huh?
Not very many endings stick the landing though. I can only think
They
of,
don't.
I can only think like, why do you? Let's not get into that. I was gonna say, why do you think that is? We can say that's a whole other thing. We can.
Yeah, I was gonna say we could save that, but they definitely don't. But I don't. A bad ending won't ruin the show for me most of the time, or like an unsatisfying ending. I think those are the shows that I like. I like the shows where it's like I feel so full in the like in the middle, in the start, middle, and end of it. Like it's not like I am it's not like I'm starving myself for a satisfying big ending a lot of the times when I watch shows. So really like if a show is meaty from the start, I love that. I think that's part of why like Avatar felt meaty from yeah, I think like Avatar felt meaty from the start. There was just a lot of meat. There's so much content in the middle of it that I could like sink my teeth into. Death Note was like that. Like every episode I knew I was gonna get like an interesting plot and like how are you gonna figure this thing out? I just like meaty fucking shows. And that's why I don't really care that much about the ending, because I'm like, I don't want a show that hangs too much on like how the fuck are you gonna end this? So I just like the journey. But I think my third one is a show called Sense8.
Sensei.
And yeah, it's not animated.
Okay.
And I literally I'm always just like, has Tara talked to you about this at all? This show, Sense8? Haven't heard of it? I made that bitch watch it.
Sensei, right?
No, Sense8.
Oh,
So
okay.
sense like sense and then eight. But also there's the concept in the show of like the power system is called Sensate. That's like sense but then ATE like spelled out. Whole thing. I It was this was the show that really told me that I was like, "You're right, I can have 6 main fucking characters, and they can all have a
No,
great fucking
Imani, no.
storyline and plot,
You know
and it's
what?
gonna
You're
be
right.
good." No, literally, and I think I realize a lot of, like, the story that I'm writing is really connected to, like it made me realize that I was like, "Wow, you could just, like, talk about people kind of living their lives and also this grander plot and like just them interacting in a world in which they would very rarely ever interact can be like can carry a fucking can like be so interesting enough for you to like come back and be like I want to see them fucking like talk, and that's this can be the entire episode and it's just leading up to that and I'm gonna be fucking excited. Like it's just like a level of care of like attention to making characters that like are unique enough where like the idea of them even interacting is just so fucking interesting in and of itself that it's like I will be sat here just for that shit. I fucking love it. It's like also again, I think inspiration and just like it just I felt gluttonous. I was like, I don't even care. Like I care about the ending of this, but I'm here for the ride. And like that's the vibe. So I
I
think I
think
would say that.
I think ReZero did that same thing for me. I was
Yeah.
like there. I was just like, wait, you mean to tell me that you can just torture your characters, making the payoff that much better, instead of just having like the character like, oh, the character loses once and then they get picked back up by somebody else and then they win the next time. Like, oh, whatever. Like, you're telling me you can just keep shooting someone down and then picking them back up. And also, you're telling me that you can just have like parts, like episodes of a character just saying how much they hate themselves, but then have like basically a therapy session with like another character and like make them relatable? Oh my god, that's fire.
You worded that in the worst way. I'm so sorry. It was like you can just keep breaking a character over and over and over and over again. People will just watch that shit. Fuck
No, really.
yeah.
I mean, that's basically you can just torture your friends and family. That's
Yeah,
crazy. Oh my god.
that's crazy. Honestly, so valid. It is so. It's the most human thing. Like I feel like I think of it as fantastical in the sense, but I'm like, it's a very human thing to like be put in the fucking shitter and then like be picked up and then put in the fucking shitter again and then picked up. It's like it feels like unbelievable, but it's like it's how you feel every day. It's just like displayed, to
Yeah,
people.
I think one thing I think ReZero just the author must have studied psychology. I swear he has got to have read every psychology book that was out by the like before he started writing ReZero, because there's just so much. I've seen psychologists themselves like break down how amazing and intricate the psychology of ReZero is. And I'm like, oh my God, this man did his research. And I'm just like, dang, I said all that and I just forgot what I was gonna say.
No,
Hang on. It's not coming back to me. But I just think that he had to have studied psychology, because the way that he makes you feel about these characters, especially the main character, like
Mm.
the thing is, Subaru, especially because I watched ReZero during COVID, Subaru hit home for me so much. Like, it just changed my whole perspective on writing, on characters, on everything. Because I'm not trying to turn this into a therapy session, but I felt, as a lot of people did during COVID, I felt pretty kicked down too. I was at one of the lowest points of my life, and I watched ReZero, watching Subaru get kicked down again and again, and I'm like, yeah, what's the point in trying? But the fact that this character like keeps getting back up and keeps trying and gets better each time, and as he learns to rely on others. He learns to love himself. I'm like, damn. Like, I'm not one of those people that say, oh my god, like, I can relate to Naruto so much, dude. Like, I'm not those kind of people. But I'm just saying, like,
I also have 9 tails. You know what I'm saying?
I have 9 tails, bro, and my family did die putting a demon inside of me, bro. Like, no, but I can relate to Subaru so much. It's scary. It's scary. I could literally, like, once you watch it, Imani, I could literally tell you everything in my life that I can relate to something in Subaru's character that I'm like, damn, little. It almost felt like he was writing me, like, but
No, but I mean, like the way you talk about that show, I can tell. Like it spoke to you specifically, and it's like it's magical to have a show that like someone else produced that like they because in my head I'm thinking like, whoa, there is another person, another creative that like understood this personal specific thing that was happening to me so well and was able to like move through it in a way that like could make something this beautiful as a result. It's insane.
yeah,
No, I get it. I see from the little bit that I have watched, I'm like, yeah, I see the parallels between you and Subaru like so clearly. But I've also haven't known you like I don't think I've known you at your worst. Or like when you were at your worst. And
yeah.
it's maybe damn. So you're gonna turn this into like a hey, if you actually care about me, kind of have to watch Zero.
No. I feel like when I first met you and Tyra, I feel like I was like so desperate for you guys to watch ReZero. I'm like you guys will understand me more when you watch ReZero, but I think, damn, are we getting deep here, Imani? I think that you guys not watching it and just learning more about me, like, I think that's better than just some superficial watch this thing that relates to me and then you'll know me better kind of thing. Like,
Yeah.
I don't
No,
know.
I agree. Like if I watch ReZero, I'd hope that I would like be able to see stuff that I've already seen in you and like understand it. And like understand why you connect to the show, like, but I'm sure it would elicit a lot of conversation. I'm sure. Um, but
All right.
we gotta go.
We are at 2 hours and 10 minutes. The only reason the last episode was an hour was because my girlfriend first, Imani's friend, I guess. No, I was kidding.
My fucking friend texted this dumbass.
No. It's because our shared companion.
Oh, I like that. I like that.
Our shared companion said that we are yappers and we couldn't like just cut it down to an hour because we were planning on gaming that night. And we showed her wrong. And then this time, since there was no
to still technically talk.
Since there was no time limit this time, we went just about as long as we did in the first episode.
I feel like 2 hours might be the like unless we like really learn how to cut it down. 2 hours might I think if we ever get past 2 hours, then it's like okay, we need to really fucking stop. But
yeah.
Also, just for context for everyone else, because I revel in this. I like to be able. I like talking to people that I can talk to for a long time. I we we started at like 5:15 my time, like around like doing the podcast. It's around an hour. I was talking to this motherfucker and Tyra, but to this motherfucker from like 5:15 to like 11:55. Like I realized that I was like, oh my god, I've been like on Discord with you for so fucking long. It like hit me. I was like, that's so
I'm
much
likable, guys.
I don't know if I'd say all that. Uno was just really interesting. The game wouldn't end.
She's just mad because she lost, guys, and she doesn't like my strategies.
You hoard cards and they're not even good cards. You just hoard them. It doesn't make any sense.
but when that video comes out, Imani, we'll talk more about it. But it was genius though. After collecting those cards for so long, I ended up did I not just end up passing them off and then won just like that? I'm like, all right, I'm gonna start trying, and then won immediately.
That did piss me. Like once I realized, I was like, why are you hoarding these cards? And I'm like, so you can just fucking pass them to someone else. Piece of shit.
Yeah.
So fucking funny. I hate it.
Yep.
Oh my god. We do have fun here.
We do.
All right. I think I want to walk to my local Walgreens and grab some Oreos.
Ooh, okay.
So you're making me this was such a good way to fucking end my Sunday though.
I'm gonna finish my Chips Ahoy. I think you don't like Chips Ahoy? Chunky?
I don't like hard cookies. Oreos are the only hard cookie I like. I don't like hard cookies. I like
there is
cookies.
the Chips Ahoy soft cookies. So
I gotta try.
Hey, Chips Ahoy, hey. Sponsor us. Hey, not Imani, because she just said she thinks y'all are whack.
Are ass. But if you want to give me the soft baked cookies, I'll rate it, honestly,
I'll rate it, yeah.
Wait, what the fuck? I've been looking for this crockpot cookbook and it's behind me. How the fuck did I not see that before?
That's why she took 4 hours, guys.
It really is. It actually genuinely is. Okay.
All right, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the Aceline podcast.
Yes.
We didn't
start introducing ourselves at all.
We're not doing that anymore. That was the first episode. We introduced ourselves. They know who we at this point. They know who we are.
We're only gonna end it on like, yes, guys, this has been the Aceline podcast.
If you made it to the end,
in the next one.
My name is Jalen.
I'm Imani.
And we'll see you in the next one.
Introducing myself. I hate it. But okay, bye.
And we'll see you in the next one. Bye.